Hi, this is Frederick from the techno label Detroit, Berlin. So in this season I want to talk about game-changing gear. In the next 6 episodes I will pick one piece of gear that totally changed the way I work. It could change my workflow or just how I go about music in general. Now the first device I want to talk about I bought in about 2008-2009. It was kind of a big purchase for me at the time because I came from my piano lessons. I had a digital piano and a workstation synthesizer, the Yamaha Motiv ES. I was using lots of sounds like violins and like saxophones and bass guitars and stuff on the workstation synthesizer, so it all sounded quite cheesy to say the least. I went to a store because I heard of this monophonic synthesizer that was really good. I tested it out and I was immediately sold. At the time I wasn't that into synthesis and sound generation in particular, but just the way how it felt and the pureness of the sounds, I was really sold on that one. Problem was it was expensive. For me at the time it wasn't affordable. I kind of kept it in my mind and I looked online and I just kept on looking. At one moment I went online and I find the same device new at a very big discount. So I was kind of wary that it was something tricky. So I really did some research on the company that sold the synthesizer. I called them. I eventually decided to just go for it because it was almost too good to be true. Be careful with things that are too good to be true, but in this case I was kind of sure it was okay. I ordered the synthesizer. After 1 year I get to know why the synthesizer was that cheap, because the company was closing and they had to get rid of everything. I did a good deal on that one. No further ado, let's just get into it. I bought a MiniMoog Voyager. Let's jump to the synthesizer and let's see what the synthesizer is capable of. Mind, this is not a review. I won't go in depth into the machine. I just want to play some sounds and talk a little bit why I wanted this synthesizer and what I did with it the first couple of years and why it inspired me. So this is the MiniMoog Voyager. Let's jump right into it. I have a sequence going on. Yeah, let's just tweak some sounds. one thing is so nice, we have some lights, so very visible, great to perform in the dark. It's kind of spacey, but at the time this synthesizer was released, it was something revolutionary because it was an analog synthesizer like the days of old, like the Minimoog. It's kind of the new iteration of the Minimoog Model D. Doesn't sound exactly like the Model D. It sounds way more cleaner. I don't think that's a bad thing. There are many people that like the sound of the Model D and they find the synthesizer is not exactly the same, but I don't own a Model D. I never used a Model D. I just know this sound is quite pure, quite stable. That's perhaps why many didn't like the sound in the first place, because the oscillators of the Model D, they were always, not exactly in tune. This synthesizer has very stable oscillators and it has MIDI implemented, which was totally absent on the Model D. It has a touchpad, it has preset memory, and at the time this synthesizer, even compared to many virtual analog synthesizers at the time, when you turned a knob you could directly see what the previous position of the knob was and where you were going. It was very easy to go somewhere and come back to the original position of the knob, because when you switch a preset, the knobs don't correspond anymore to the actual sound. So in this case, with that in mind, it was just very nice. It has two filters, low pass, high pass filter built into it. You can select it. It has stereo output. The filters both route to those different outputs. So if you want to use it in kind of an old-fashioned way, you just plug one into the I think the right output, the second one, and then you have just one filter. If you put it in the first output, if I'm correct, you have, I think, both filters, and with the spacing knob you can switch between them. Has an external input. You can do the same trick as with the Model D, route the headphone output into the external input, and then you can use it to really give it some girth. I'll show it. So with low volume, and then you can feel it coming. It's kind of an overdrive saturation. It really sounds full. love the atmosphere going on right now, so I should use it more. I have some synthesizers. I don't always use them in Moog Voyager, but when I hear stuff like this, I should definitely use it even more. Switch another patch. It's very silky smooth, the filter. Also, I love to combine this with the Roland RE20, the Space Echo pedal from Roland. It's really that 70s, 80s feel. Very nice, yeah, delay going on with the synthesizer. The synthesizer doesn't have any effects built in, but yeah, you can go anywhere you want. You can put any effect on the synthesizer. It's just the sound itself is very nice. If I let you hear some sounds when it sounds completely dry, it's also nice, but maybe a little bit less interesting, I think. And this bass sound is really nice. I have a Moog Sub Fatty for the bass lines and stuff, but actually the Voyager, it goes deeper, it's fuller, it's a 3-oscillator synthesizer. Not that it's that big of a difference for the bass, but it just blows any other new Moog synthesizer just out of the ballpark. It's very, very nice in the bass, as deep as you can go, as deep as your speakers will go. It will, if you have some drive on it with a very low bass sound, it will, yeah, almost destroy everything, I think. At the right volume. Just hear this floating bass sound. And when we do the routing effect with the headphone out, so we can add some distortion, drive, feedback, it goes bonkers. It's the stuff that foundations get trembling. Just on the edge where it almost detunes too much. This is very nice. Something special. Also really nice for effects like these spacey sounds, these evolving sample and hold sounds. It's very nice. Also, when I bought this synthesizer, I got the expansion for free. Okay, I had to whine about a year to Moog because it was kind of a deal, but because the store I bought it went under, it was kind of difficult to get the module that was promised in the first place. But after a year of whining, I eventually got it, so I was happy. And it expands the Voyager with some CV outputs. So with modular gear, it's great. Also with the Moog Vogers, it's really a nice semi-modular thing. Next patch. Oh, this is a nice one. Also the resonance, it will self-oscillate, so when you put it high enough, you can actually play it as as an oscillator. Nice lead sounds. Now this patch is called too low. It's exactly what it is. It's a extremely low sound. It's very deep. But nice. Also, this is one of the best keybeds I ever played. I use it as a main controller. No other keybed, in my opinion, has the same quality feel to it. And the knobs, they are also of an extremely high quality. The potentiometers, they're very steady. You have big knobs, and when you turn them you have a lot of resolution, in the sense that they're very accurate, those knobs. They don't wiggle. I would say they are very smooth. Also nice with this synthesizer, the waves of the oscillator, the waveforms, they're like, you can fade between the triangle, the sinus, the triangle, the saw, the pulse, and then the pulse width. You can just fade in between those, and yeah, you get a nice, it's like a wave shaper. What happens when I do the feedback loop thing, and then it just goes nuts. Nice. Nice drum sounds. It's just a synthesizer, but it's a nice drum sound. We're back. This is kind of a inconvenient thing. The mixer, it has the external input, but the external input also, when it's off, it selects the patch, and it's a knob that's really, it will flip through the patches very easily, very quickly. it will jump 10, 20, 30 patches ahead or backwards. And when you're not really sure and you think the external input is on and you tweak the knob, then your patch that you were playing, it's gone. So that's not so convenient. But I think that's kind of the only issue that I have with this synthesizer. Otherwise, it's like perfect, especially for the time that it came out. It was a 2002 synthesizer and they made it until, I guess, 2015. So let's go further into this patch. Got something nice going on, so let's enjoy it. Totally mental, but I like it. Almost like thumb sounds. Okay. Nice bass sound, but there's plenty. Also, what's nice, the really high, almost, I wouldn't call it sharp because they're not that sharp. They're not cutting sharp. They're really high pitched, but very smooth. Ooh, this is filthy. Sometimes sounds don't sound right, don't sound nice when you're high up, but they do sound awesome when you're in the low registers. When you turn the mud wheel down, you have kind of a stable, very bassy sound. You turn it up, it's going to almost distort. It's getting woolly, getting resonant. Okay. Okay, so this touchpad, sometimes I forget that it's there because it's kind of an unusual thing in a synthesizer. Nowadays you have some with touchpads and other stuff, especially taken in mind this is kind of pre-touch device. Yeah, the iPhones, they, even when this came out, it was kind of, yeah, also touchpad, it was kind of revolutionary. It is really growling in a pile of filth. Okay. Frequency modulation, bass sound, very funky. This is, yeah, a very nice synthesizer if you're into funk. The bass lines, they're really rubbery. Okay. A kick. Oh yeah, come on. Kind of an organy sound, very clicky. When I had the synthesizer for the first few years, I didn't have any polyphonic analog synthesizers. What I did was I recorded some MIDI notes, chords, with a virtual synthesizer or just a piano. And then I selected notes, I deleted them after I copied it like 3 or 4 times. And then I made sure that I actually could record my MINIMOOG 4 times, and then I had some polyphony. It was inspired on the way that Wendy Carlos made her album Switch on Bach. It was all done with a modular synthesizer, most of it I think, and it was also monophonic, so she had to really play it multiple times, different notes from the chord, to make it polyphonic, and I took some inspiration from there, and then I used my synthesizer to play chords, not in real time, but eventually the result was there. So if you have an analog monophonic or any monophonic synthesizer, doesn't matter, you can do it that way. If you don't have a polyphonic analog synthesizer, just take the MIDI, delete some notes every time, and then it will play like 3 times, and you add it up, you mix it, and then you have like 3 tracks, 4 tracks, and you have polyphony. Let's go to a few more sounds and then let's call it a wrap. So the trick would be with the polyphony, if you have a chord, let's say just a major C chord, this one, if you play it, now only one note will sound. So if you record the MIDI, you put it on 3 tracks, and every time you record the first time the first note, second time second note, and the third time third note, or 4 if you have a chord with 4 notes or even more. You stack them on top of each other, these recordings, you play it back, and then you hear actually the synth play those 3 notes at the same time, so you'll have a chord. I feel I've got something going on. really feel how the external input, the routing from the headphone to the external input, it warms up the sound tremendously. Okay, let's call it a wrap. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell to be notified when upcoming videos get published. And next episode I will share some other game-changing gear. So leave in the comments down below what's your game-changing gear. And I would say until next episode, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, click the bell to be notified when upcoming videos get published, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.